Okay, so we're going to talk about your next assignment, which is going to be uh, it's based off of environmental sculpture. So I'm going to do a screen share. So if you guys have any comments, you should talk to me because I will be away from the view of your chat room, so I won't be able to see that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back into Schoology and show you. We're going to go through some of the things that are there so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So we're going into distance learning. It's all in today's folder. Okay. Okay. All right. So first, first let's go through the slideshow. Okay. So this is a link to a PowerPoint that I made, and you can go back and view that anytime you want. Okay. So we're going to look at a few environmental sculptors. And an environmental sculpture, I gave you a definition right away in there. Let me get this going. Here we go. Okay. All right. So, okay, an environmental sculpture is a sculpture that's made in a specific site, meaning that they choose something outside, like in a place outside. And by building this, whether it be with natural materials or man-made materials, it changes the environment. They're making something outside, okay? And actually like creating something in a space that is outside. And it's made to be outside. Some of these things are temporary. They get blown down. Some last a really, really long time. Okay, so I gave you four artists that work in this fashion. Uh, Andy Goldsworthy, uh, Nils Odo, Christo, and Dale Chihuly. All right, they're all very, very different and they work in very different ways, but they all have a way of having their work interact with the environment, with being outside. Okay, so this is Andy Goldsworthy. He's a British sculptor and he uses natural materials outside in specific sites. We're going to look at a few of his things. Okay, so the image on the left is all different leaves that he took and he actually changed the color of, and that is created actually on the ground. These are rather large, okay? Um, so, he colored them as it went out and made that black area that could possibly be a hole in the ground, okay? But he's creating a sculpture out of materials that he finds outside. The one on the right is actually constructed by taking those long branches and interweaving them together so that it makes this structure out in the landscape. Okay, so this is the type of thing that we're looking at. We're looking at how people make work that interacts with outside, and he is using materials that he finds outside. Andy Goldsworthy also photographs and documents. His sometimes he's considered a photographer as well. All right, Nils Odo is a German sculptor. He also does work in the landscape. Okay, so again, he's taking these natural things that he finds and he's creating sculpture from them. And it's not meant to be inside. These are pieces of both of these artists that are meant to be outside. They're not going to be found in a gallery or anything like that. They just don't do work like that. Their work, if it was going to be hanging in a gallery, it would be the photographs of it like we're looking at right now. That would be, but they're meant to be like seen outdoors and on site, site specific, meaning you're choosing a place for it. Okay. Christo is a Bulgarian environmental sculptor. He does not use materials that are from nature. He brings other materials that interact with nature. So this is a piece that he just did. This is like last year or a year ago. And I saw the documentary. I have a little clip for you to watch. on your own, but this is a floating, like a floating dock kind of a thing. And you can see all the yellow, like how far back, these are people walking on it. Okay, so you can see the scale of this. So Christo does a lot with adding color to a place that so that it stands out. So this floating dock, I'm pretty sure this was in Italy. I'm losing that right now, but this just happened. And whenever Christo does something, and all of these people are still alive, okay? Um, Christo is the oldest. But whenever they do things like this, it's like you go and see it. Like when Christo does something like this is called the Gates. And this was probably, I would say, 10. Oh, there it says 2003 is the drawing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's when it was put up. Because things like this that Christo does, uh, they're considered to be like a installation in a space. So this over here is an overhead drawing of Central Park in New York. And what he did was he built these gates, okay, with this orange fabric, and it went all through Central Park, all through here. It was crazy. Mr. Mensch and I went on opening day, so we walked through it. Um, So here's some views. This is a view that you can see from up high where all of that orange is. Those are all of those gates. And if you can imagine how big Central Park is, there were thousands of these gates that he had installed. So Christo has like a team. Like a lot of these artists don't like work on their own. They have like a lot of people that work with them because it's impossible to put something like this up. He also um, has to put together a plan for this. You know, he wanted to use Central Park and it was only up for a certain period of time and then it had to be taken down. And so you have to make a proposal and jump through all these hoops to get something like this to happen, get funding, that kind of stuff. And but it was really an amazing experience to be able to walk under them and be a part of something like that. All right. So Christo does things that are, you know, he picks a site and he creates a piece of artwork that interacts more with the environment. Dale Chihuly, yes, he has a patch. Okay, he he's a glass blower. Okay, and you can see behind him all of those things are blown glass structures. And no, he did not lose his eye in a glass accident. I always thought he did, but he did not. He lost his eye in a car accident, and because of that, he cannot see easily, thoroughly to make the glass. So he also has a team that works with him. All right. So he's a glass blower or a glass artist, and he also interacts with the environment. So these are some images from the New York Botanical Gardens, and he has these glass balls that he like floated in the water. So again, both Christo and uh, Dale Chihuly use a lot of color, like so that their things stand out when they put these things in there. Here's a few more. These almost look like bird-like and they're coming out of the ground, in these spaces. You may have seen some of his work. Dale Chihuly's work is all over the place. If you've ever gone to like Borgata or Foxwoods or what is the other one? Mohegan Sun. There's a giant sculptures. The Borgata has all the chandeliers are made by him, but he does a lot of interior work too. Even though, but these are some of the ones that he's put out in the environment. Okay. Okay, so that's a little preview on what you're going to be looking at. Okay, they're all very different, but in some way they do interact with the environment. You might find some work by some of them that are inside. Mostly, I would say Dale Chihuly definitely. You're going to find work that's inside galleries and things like that because he can make smaller scale, but his work is very organic as well. All right, let me go back to Schoology and show you another document that I put in there. Okay, so right now you're going to do a little bit of research. Okay, this is a document that I wrote up for you, and you can download this. You guys know that if you click this, it'll download. So if you wanted to download it and then copy what you have to put into your doc, you can do that. Okay, so what I gave you was you are going to look at these artists, and I have a few videos for you. They're all very short. You know, some of them are like 2 minutes, um, but it gives you a little insight into how the artists work. Okay, so you have 4 different videos, one for each of the artists. And what you're going to do for this assignment is look at the videos. You can go back and review that PowerPoint if you want to as well. Create a Google Doc like you've been doing in the past. I think it's easier for you guys to just do it however you want on your own. Make sure you share it with me, of course. Okay. And in that, you're going to do a little bit of research on these people. All right. So find 4 images by each of the artists. And then for each artist, you're going to give me a little, just a little paragraph, you know, description of their work, like in your own words, like what do they do? Um, Talk about their process, like how do they make this? Like how do they put it together? And explain how they relate to the environment. You know, just a few sentences on each artist. Then I want you to choose 2 people that you really, really liked. Okay, I gave you 4 that are really, I think, are all super cool. And I'm going to do this with you. And I always, like I've been doing all along. Okay. So uh, you're going to think about making something in the fashion that they would have. So for 2 different artists, like say you pick, you know, Dale Chihuly, you know, he has these like colorful things that he puts outside. And so you could think about having like these things shooting out of your garden or something like that. Okay. So you're going to create a drawing for each of these, an idea of what you could do in reaction to looking at these artists. You need to include some kind of material list. Like, if you were actually going to do this, what would you use? You can use anything, like anything. Like, it does not have to be something specific. You could use plastic bottles that you have from soda and spray paint them and put them into the garden. You know, like there's all different ways that you could do some kind of a sculpture like this. But I would like you to think about when you're drawing that, what would you use that you have that you could make this? All right. All right. Below, I made a like a giant list of stuff. Sticks, rocks, bark. That's if you wanted to actually go outside and collect things. You know, things that you have around the house, fabric, construction paper, paint, cardboard boxes like we used before. I even wrote junk mail because, you know, it doesn't matter. You could add lights to it. You know, there's all kinds of things. So right now you're making a plan for this. You're kind of like coming up with an idea, figuring out what you might be able to make this out of. And then you're going to write a little information for me. Okay. Why did you pick the artist? What was it about them that you really, really were intrigued with? Um, how does your piece relate to the artist that you chose? Like, we're not, again, we're always taking influence from them, right? We're not trying to copy their work, but there's nothing wrong with someone saying, oh, I get that, how that connects. Okay, that's what you want. How does your piece relate to the environment? Are you actually using materials that you found outside, or are you making what you build and putting it outside in a space? Um, And where would you put this? If you were actually making this, is it something that is going to be small and you're actually going to make out of materials you find outside that you're going to put on a, you know, inside? Or are you actually going to take things and put them into a location outside? So, you know, you can also include photographs of that. So like if you have a spot in your yard that you're thinking you this would go like really cool, like take a photograph of that. All right. So right now you are doing a plan, figuring this stuff out. All right, I'm going to come back to you guys now. Okay, anybody else sign on? Hi, Kate. All right, let me get rid of the screen share right now. Okay. All right, so let's see who else came on. Anybody? Hi, Nick. Okay. All right, so I want you guys to give me some feedback as far as ask me questions about this. Right now, you are looking at these artists, finding some images by each of them and just writing yourself a little thing. And then you're going to uh, pick two of them and do some designs. Think about how cool it would be to make something like this outside or make something from these materials in the fashion that they did. Hi, Dan. So, uh, and down the road, all right. So think about it as something that you could actually build because I would like to see you do this. I think this is super cool. Um, you don't have to leave your yard and you don't necessarily have to make it outside. You could just take materials and weave them together in some way to make like some kind of a nest form. And it doesn't have to necessarily be materials that you find outside. It could be anything that you have. But right now, you're making a plan. You are designing this. If you decide that you want to design a couple more because you're excited about it, go for it. Okay. All right. Ask me questions. How do we feel about this? I'm challenging you. Good. Thanks, Chloe. Does anybody have any questions about what you are to do for this portion of it? It's really just the research. It's not going to be due till next week. I'm going to give you, you know, a good, I don't know, 5, 6 days at least to do it. Um, I hope that you find something that you're interested in with it. And then we are going to actually, it's getting warmer out. We could do this. So I'm going to do one myself. I'm going to come up with something that is going to be a, an environmental sculpture. I'm going to show it to you. So next time when uh, after you guys all submit this research portion, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to show you what I did. And hopefully, something that you come up with will be something that you can do. And, you know, it doesn't matter like what materials you use. Making sculpture, making art is all about just, figuring stuff out and looking at work and taking what you have and going and making something. Okay. All right. So ask me questions. Does anybody have any questions on what we're doing? Does anyone think this is like absolutely insane? Or do we think it's cool? Give me some reactions. Yes. Anyone? I'm going to make you turn your mics on if you don't. Alex, how do you feel about this? Good. Thanks. One words. Ashley, any comments? Give me something. Everybody give me a little comment. Nick, how do you feel about this? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Give me a comment. Everyone write a comment as far as something related to what we're talking about. Okay. Hi, Sophia. I don't know if I saw you before. Okay. Everybody else, anybody who didn't comment, I want to see something. It could be a question. It could be a statement. I just want to know if we're all on the same page. Does anybody think this is like totally ridiculous? You can say that. Okay. Nick, I didn't hear from you. What are you thinking? Kate, how about you? Oh, Katie, let's see. I'm making you all talk today. Oh, good. I'm glad. All right. Nick, Nick, are you there? Are you there, Nick? Okay. So think about what you could do. And again, it doesn't have to be this like grand, huge thing. You could make something, you could make like, if it's easier for you, you could make like a tabletop model of what you would do if you were making it outside. I'm actually going to go out and make something in my garden. And I kind of already have some ideas about what I'm going to do. But, you know, a smaller scale model could work for perfectly fine. Like, I'm not saying that you all have to be, an environmental artist and go out and build something because that might be difficult. But you could take a cereal box and cut it up and paint it and make it look like whatever your plan is going to be. Okay. Right now, all you have to do is figure out the ideas, come up with the drawings, do your research, and then after that, we'll talk about building it because I want to be able to give you some feedback as well on what you come up with. So, uh, in the meantime, I'm going to be building mine, and then we'll kind of like regroup as a group like this and talk about different ideas and things like that. Okay, so materials, there is no wrong to materials. Anything, anything. Okay, start thinking about one thing I want to just throw out to you too. We will revisit the TP tubes. All right, I have another cool thing, but I want to give you some time to start collecting them again. Okay, so uh, because you guys came up with some really cool stuff with that, and I found something else that's really, oh my God. All right. I'm kind of excited about this stuff that we're doing at home. I think it's really kind of cool. Um, but start saving the tubes again. Toilet paper tubes, paper towels. Just get them. Do not tell me in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whenever we start to use them again, or if we do, that you don't have any. All right. Because I want you to get them now. Okay. So keep that in the back of your head and put a note in the bathroom. Please do not throw out tube. Okay. All right. Any questions for me? Nothing? Everybody is good to go? Okay. I will put our little this chat that we had in there as well. I have to save it to YouTube and then I'll drop it in there for you so that you can see that. All right. So I don't even have a deadline for you yet. Okay. So, but it's definitely not going to be now. It's going to be next week. Today's what? Wednesday. Okay. So you got at least till next Wednesday to get this accomplished. Okay. Um, so the next couple of days, I would like you to just get going on it. Okay. Um, I will be here if you have questions for me. The first thing you have to do is you really have to watch the videos. They're so cool. Okay. And I really didn't pick anything that was really long. So, um, so tomorrow I'll just kind of be here if you have any questions, that kind of thing. If you don't really have to check in with me. You can just kind of work on it. Um, Most likely on like I don't know if we meet Monday. I got to look at it. But I'll one of these days I'll ask you for like a progress picture just to show me where you're at, and if you just watch the video or whatever, but get going on this. Get your mind thinking, like we're doing a lot of things with math and boring stuff. This is like you can get outside, you can really start thinking about stuff. It's kind of rainy today, but the next nice day, go sit in your backyard and look at it and see where could you do this? Like it could be anything. It could hang from the trees or something, anything. Okay. All right. So I am done. I am going to close my video.